friends. Don't care about fitting in the crowd. I'll say it one time and I'll say it loud. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't take dope or have affairs. Just call me square, 'cause I don't care. I won't do the things I don't believe in. I don't care about impressing your friends. Don't care about fitting in the crowd. I'll say it one time and I'll say it loud. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't take dope or have affairs. Just call me square, 'cause I don't care. Complain, complain, complain. You're always the same. You will never change. All you do is complain. You complain about the things I cook. You complain about the way I look. You complain about the clothes I wear. And you don't like my hair. You complain because I don't work. You say I'm a no-good jerk. And then I go to work and you go berserk. Complain, complain, complain. You're always the same. You will never change. All you do is complain.
And I would like for the youth here today to know that while every citizen in the city is concerned about you, the best thing that we can leave you with is freedom and to promote individual responsibility. And we can't give you individual responsibility if over 50% of what you earn is taken away from you to be reallocated to others who are irresponsible. And that is one of the purposes of coming down here to city council and other council meetings frequently, is to say, stop taking away from the freedom and stop the taxation, because you won't have anything left in your hands by the time we continue to create ordinances and youth association things.
Come ride a little train going down the track at the junction. Woo, woo! Petticoat Junction. There's old Uncle Joe moving kind of slow at the junction. Woo, woo! Petticoat Junction. I will return.
Message deleted. Press.
From the Spring Hill Toyota Traffic Center.
Watch for a crash Spring Hill Avenue just west of I-65. Also a vehicle fire west on I-10 before Avalon Boulevard in Milton. Also a crash on the Bayway eastbound I-10 approaching the tunnel. Delays are backed up to Duval Street. From I-65 to the Eastern Shore, add an extra 23 minutes of drive time. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi, I'm Kyle from Blindster. Thousands of homeowners have trusted us for their blinds that are easy to order, affordable, and guaranteed to fit. You measure at home, install yourself, and enjoy blinds made exactly for your windows. Blindster.com.
If you see traffic trouble, call the Acadian Windows traffic tip line at pound 250, keyword total traffic when prompted. Acadian Windows, your hurricane protection specialists.
Now, your chance to win $2,500. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Travel. That's travel. Enter it now at newsradio710.com. The Uncle Henry Show. Weekday afternoons from 5 till 7.
Uncle Henry, you know what? Lots of nuts been calling your show lately. You know that, Uncle Henry?
Message deleted. Press.
This is the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTM. Thank you. I really do appreciate you listening to the Uncle Henry Show. I really do. This is just a wonderful thing to be able to do the Uncle Henry Show here. I got this situation with my employer where they provide air conditioning on a day like this. I get air conditioning. Now, this is going to sound like bragging. They provide free Wi-Fi. Yeah. I got air conditioning, free Wi-Fi, hot and cold running water. All of that here at the workplace. That is one of the things. When I was growing up, my parents, they didn't encourage me to go to college or anything, but they encouraged me to get a high school diploma. They encouraged me to stay out of jail. They encouraged me to be able to afford to have my own home, or at least afford my own rent. And their one hope was that I would work indoors. They did. No offense to those that work outdoors, but they were hoping that they would have a member of the family finally get inside. And I did. So a little proud of that. All right, anyway, here we are. Just the two of us, just me and you here, trying to figure out what is going on. What is going on in the world around us? What has gotten into people these days, aside from the devil? Now, I've got a lot to get into, a lot of stories, a lot of topics to touch upon. Got a lot of different voicemails to get to. I'm starting to get some of them stacked up, and I got to play some of these before the freshness date ends on the voicemail. But I want to start off with a story, a news item from Fox 10. They're not doing their news right now because they got all this soccer mess on television. But this is an update on the new Mobile airport that they're moving and building down at Brookley. The former mayor, Sandy Simpson, gave an update today. So let's listen as Fox 10 reported earlier on the latest on the airport that the taxpayer is funding.
Mobile's new international airport is one step closer to reality.
That's young Aisling Mitchell.
Former Mayor Sandy Simpson shared a major update this morning at a downtown breakfast briefing. My friend Stephen Moody is live in the studio with me this morning. And Stephen, you got some new details on the timeline, the budget, and what airlines could be coming to Mobile, which is exciting.
Yeah, Ashlyn, a lot of really good information here this morning and a lot of good news, especially on the budget front. The project is tracking about $6 million under that $381 million budget. We also learned about potential new airlines, including Southwest, and the possibility of direct flights to major cities like New York and Chicago.
Very cool.
Mobile's new airport terminal is getting closer to takeoff. Thursday, Mobile Airport Authority Chairman and former Mobile Mayor Sandy Simpson laid out the project's progress and what it means for the local economy. The new terminal is expected to be completed by late spring. The budget has been a priority, and during his presentation, Simpson was able to deliver good news.
So from a budgeting standpoint, we find ourselves in a very good spot, and that's where currently the projection is that we would be about $6 million under the $381 million budget. Based on some things I know that are kind of in process of maybe we need to consider doing, we may end up spending that $6 million to make sure everything is right.
Simpson, we may end up spending that $6 million. Well, this is a government project. What do you think is going to happen?
Also discussed the possibility of new airlines coming to Mobile, including Southwest Airlines.
It's real important that we take care of the legacy carriers that we currently have. Obviously, we are very interested in Southwest, and so we continue to share information with them. We know that they're looking at it through their lens, but we will give them information that maybe are looking at it a different way, because we think we have a story to tell that maybe they haven't thought of. And so that's a process. You can speak to someone at the Jumpstart conference, but then you need to speak to somebody that's more regionally located. And so we will continue to do that.
And with the new terminal comes the possibility of new direct flights. Simpson said they have a few locations in mind, like New York and Chicago, but there are some challenges that they have to face to make it happen.
You think, well, why can't they just, give us a flight to Chicago? Well, what you're up against is that they have somebody at every single gate in Chicago. And so for them to make a decision for us to fly to Chicago, we've got to prove to them, and they've got to believe that our flight is going to be more lucrative for them than the one that's presently there.
And once they open, the work begins to convince people in Baldwin County to fly out of Mobile instead of Pensacola.
Okay, the work begins to convince the Baldwin Countyans to start flying out of Mobile. All right. How are you going to do that?
And that's where marketing comes in.
It will be through advertising and marketing that we can tell the story, for those people that are flying out of Baldwin County, that these are the flights we have, this is the drive time, this is why you should fly BFM. And so all of that's being worked on right now as we speak.
Now, you may have heard in that story, Stimson mentioned late spring as a completion date, but there's still work to do after that completion date before they officially open that terminal. So when they have a definitive opening date, they said they'll let us know.
Very cool. Stephen, so cool to see all of the expansion, everything.
All right. Fox 10's report on the airport update. Now, to get people from Baldwin County to fly out of that airport, a couple of things will have to happen. One of the things is the price of the flights. They have to be competitive with Pensacola. And if they ain't, then people are not going to spend more. It just has to be competitive with Pensacola. So that's one thing. But the other thing you're going to need, if you really want Baldwin Countyans to want to fly out of the Mobile airport, if you can get the prices at the right price point on the flights, you're still going to have that bridge built. The fantasy, imaginary dream bridge that people have been fantasizing and dreaming about for what, 20 plus years, 30 plus years? You're going to have that done. Because even if the price is right, you never know how long it will take, especially at certain times of year, to get across the bay over there. And even if you lived in Mobile County, you know how the interstate gets. You know how that interstate gets, especially in the summer. So it's going to hinge on that bridge. That airport is not going to be a big success until or if they build that bridge. The soonest I think they can have it completed if they just got the money by magic, I think it would be 2030 or 2031.
From the Spring Hill Toyota Traffic Center.
Watch for a crash Spring Hill Avenue just west of I-65. Also a vehicle fire west on I-10 before Avalon Boulevard in Milton. Also a crash on the Bayway eastbound I-10 approaching the tunnel. Delays are backed up to Duval Street. From I-65 to the Eastern Shore, add an extra 23 minutes of drive time. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Blindster.com.
Hi,
Hey, YouTube. I see a small, tiny number of people watching on YouTube. Hello to Bama Big Man, Excalibur One Force, JD, Richard Harvey. Yes, JD, thinking like I am, the Bayway. Nobody will know if they can make their flight if they don't build the new bridge. Hello to Norman Richardson. Pat Nelly, thank you for looking in. Thank you to all that may or may not be looking at the YouTube. I'm going to be back on the radio here in about 3 minutes. On Bama Big Man, if they started today, how long would it take to finish? I think the last I heard would be what I said on the air, 2030 or 2031, that it would be done. So it's again, I don't know if I will live to see it built. And my doctor says I'm healthy. All right, let's see. What can I tell you about while I'm waiting to go back on the radio. In the Weird News Department, as part of their resistance against the Russians, the Ukrainian army has been putting profiles of women on the internet, fake women, talking to Russian soldiers, and the Russian soldiers think they're talking to women that are interested in them, and they end up telling the fake woman online where they are. And this gives the Ukrainian military information on the location of the Russians. So this just shows that men are men all over the world. Men are men all over the world. Also, dermatologists are now warning people against a new trend on social media. The new trend is called tan maxing, where people on social media are doing whatever they can to get as tan as is possible. Tan maxing. You know, this, everything old is new. I mean, this is people, you're old enough to remember when women would go out and try to get almost burnt. They would put oils on their skin trying to get as tanned up as they could. Same thing, only 30 or 40 years later. All right, what else? In the criminal file, in Flagler County, Florida, sea turtle volunteers had their Turtle Patrol ATV stolen. And the volunteers say they'll just walk. They love the turtles so much, they'll just walk. They're committed to the turtles. Very similar to Snake Trapper.
Blinds made exactly for your windows. Blindster.com.
This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
Uncle Henry Show continuing, moving forward. We got news headlines coming up in 10 minutes from Fox 10 and from Fox Radio National News. Telephone number here is 251-479-2723. That's 251-479-2723. Email address, unclehenry@iheartmedia.com. That's unclehenry@iheartmedia.com. Let's see, I've got some voicemail I want to get to, especially before it passes its freshness date. Here is a voicemail phoned in. I believe this was yesterday from the Snake Trapper.
Hey, Uncle Henry, Snake Trapper. Hey, man, you know, 99% of the time, I could pass roadkill, Uncle Henry. And
All right, we got another roadkill call. Now, this is good. We may learn. There's a lot to learn about roadkill for most of us, because most of us have not dealt with it. Let's learn.
Time, I could pass roadkill, Uncle Henry, and I know exactly what it is. You know, I may not know what species of turtle it is because of the carnage, but 99% of the time I know exactly what's there. Uncle Henry, I passed by something this morning, and I did not know what it was. I know what it looked like. It may have been a fox squirrel. Definitely wasn't a gray squirrel. So what I find myself doing, Uncle Henry?
All right, now before he tells us, in Midtown Mobile, a lot of times I think I'm seeing roadkill in the road, and then when I get closer, I can tell that it's somebody's wig or hair extensions or something. I don't know the terminology these days. Back when I was a younger person, it was wigs. But I don't know if it's hair extensions or if there's new words for it. But in Midtown Mobile, a lot of time you think it's roadkill, and then when you get up on it, it's not a fox squirrel or a gray squirrel. It's somebody's wig or hair extensions.
Definitely wasn't a gray squirrel. So what I find myself doing, Uncle Henry? Turning around.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Get back to it, Uncle Henry, and go to looking at it, and you know what it was? It was a dadgum ferret, Uncle Henry.
A ferret? So this was somebody's pet?
Now, ferrets are not native to our area. They're an Asian and European creature. Now, there is a version found out in the northwest, Uncle Henry, called the black-footed ferret. But it definitely wasn't a black-footed ferret, Uncle Henry.
Now, I'm sorry to keep pausing, but, you know, Snake Trapper, I don't know if he's listening right now or not, but if you are Snake Trapper, you are quite knowledgeable about creatures, aren't you? I mean, you distinguish between types of squirrel. You even know ferret varieties and where they can be found. You should retire from whatever it is you're doing and just lecture people on nature. Be a nature lecturer.
Black-footed ferret, Uncle Henry. It was the Asian version. So the conclusion I come up with is that somebody's pet at some point had got out and found its way onto Ziegler Boulevard, Uncle Henry, just past the fairgrounds right there in front of Alpine Hills.
Yep.
But anyway, Uncle Henry, on my commute in, I'm sitting there thinking, what in the world would that thing taste like? Yep, I've never tasted ferret, Uncle Henry. But, yeah, man, I hate that somebody lost their pet, but it's definitely nothing native to this area. You have a good day, my friend.
All right, thank you, Snake Trapper, for your story about unusual roadkill. That's one of the things I love about the Uncle Henry Show, is that other talk shows are really good because they have news and things, current events and stuff, and smart people give opinions and stuff. But on this show, you can find out about things like this. Yesterday, we had mosquito coverage. Today, we're getting unusual roadkill. Asian ferret found dead. 251-479-2723, the telephone number. That's 251-479-2723. Hello, caller.
Hey, Uncle Henry. How you doing?
I'm doing good. You are live on the radio.
It's Navco Bill.
Navco Bill.
Yeah, I got my Mobile Musk on out here, you know, with the chainsaw and all that good stuff. But the problem I'm having is I like to stream. I got used to streaming your show on the iHeart app, and apparently, I don't know if it's been phoned into tech support or not, who you would call, but the 710 AM app is not working. Like, you press play and it goes around and around and around, and then the stop button shows up again, and it never does come on. And I tried several other live stations, and they all seem to be working. So do you have an engineer or a software engineer somewhere who can get on that and fix your app?
Well, I do. Well, there's all kind of people that we can contact. I'm glad you told me, because I like to listen on the actual AM radio when I can, and so I didn't realize this was happening.
Well, it just started today, as far as I know, and it wasn't particularly your show. It started earlier in the day, and I thought maybe it was my phone. I rebooted my phone, you know, went through the whole troubleshooting thing, and when I finally thought, okay, let me try all these other channels, they were working. So it's got to be however the 710 AM app works with iHeart or whatever.
Okay.
The connection there is not quite working. But aside from that, Oh my God, so many things to tell you.
Wait, hang on just a second. Hang on just a second. Before you continue, I've activated the iHeartRadio app on my phone, and now I'm going to turn it up and see what I get. So stand by.
Okay.
Okay. It is not playing nothing. This is following your. It's doing what you told me it would do. It ain't playing nothing. It's just going round and round and round.
Yeah, and then it'll like stop, and then you hit it again. It does the same thing, and you hit it again. It does the same thing.
All right. I will contact the engineers about this. Thank you, Nevco Bill. Thank you. Now, before we're out of time in this segment of the show, is there a topic you want to bring up?
There are many topics. Well, let's just go with a real quick one because I know you're up on a break. The distinguished young women of XY chromosomism or whatever.
Yeah.
Can we just go back to making that the junior miss pageant? Like, I hate to be Uncle Rico here, but, you know, like in the 80s, who would we contact to or go back to be, you know, the good old days and not quite so DEI-ish?
I don't know. I don't know if there would be any interest other than people like you and me. I don't know if there's a reason other than marketing. I really don't know the answer to that.
It just doesn't roll off the tongue. Distinguished Miss whatever, something.
No, it doesn't. Hey, Nevco Bill, I am up on the break, but thank you for your phone call and thank you for alerting me to the app issue.
From the Spring Hill Toyota Traffic Center.
Getting word of a crash with injury and road blockage on Highway 395 at Highway 98 in Santa Rosa Beach. Very slow going on the Bayway. East on I-10, delays begin near Duval Street getting into the tunnel. And from I-65 to the Eastern Shore, add an extra 20 minutes of drive time. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Bakke.
This report is sponsored by Take 5 Oil Change. Your day already has enough drama. Don't let the oil light steal the show. Save up to 30% at Take 5. Just drive in, stay in your car, and be out in about 10 minutes. Take 5. Stay in your car. Get back to your day.
If you see traffic trouble, call the Acadian Windows traffic tip line at pound 250, keyword total traffic when prompted. Acadian Windows, your hurricane protection specialists.
I'm Cameron Taylor with Fox 10 News. Mobile police arresting a suspect in a shooting outside the grounds after a high school reunion. Antonio Robinson Jackson was taken into custody and booked into Metro Jail. He's charged with first-degree assault and shooting into an occupied vehicle tied to the early Sunday parking lot shooting that left 2 men with injuries. Police say it does not appear random and believe one victim was targeted. Robinson Jackson has a bond hearing set for Friday. The new Mobile International Airport terminal is tracking under budget. The Mobile Airport Authority saying the $381 million project is running about $6 million below its estimate, with construction still aiming to wrap up in late spring. The board chair and former mayor, Sandy Stimson, says they might use some or all of that savings on upgrades to make sure everything is right, and he's hinting at efforts to lure more airlines and direct flights, even Southwest, while working to convince Baldwin County travelers to fly out of Mobile instead of Pensacola. A longtime local leader is planning his exit. Mobile Area Chamber of Commerce President and CEO Bradley Burns says he'll retire in just over a year. His last day is set for June 30th of 2027. Byrne called it an honor to lead the chamber over the past 4 years. The board of directors will now decide how to choose his successor, and Byrne will stay on through the transition. You can get your latest news and weather on fox10tv.com and the Fox 10 News app. I'm Cameron Taylor with Fox 10 News on this iHeartRadio station.
This is News Radio 710 WNTM.
Fox News, I'm Kathleen Maloney. At least 188 confirmed dead now after 2 strong earthquakes hit northern Venezuela.
Most people were at home during the quakes. Venezuela's acting president Delcy Rodriguez warning this death toll is expected to climb as emergency crews are racing against the clock to reach devastated areas.
Fox's Dana Marie McNichol. The U.S. and other countries are providing medical and humanitarian relief. The Supreme Court allowing the Trump administration and DHS to terminate the temporary protective status of migrants without without judicial review.
We have upwards of 1.3 million people estimated that are in this country on a TPS program. The court here saying, listen, if DHS wants to terminate that program or that status for these folks, they can do it.
Fox's Lydia Hu with that. America is listening to Fox News.
All right, YouTube viewers, I just emailed the engineers, thanks to Navco Bill helping. All right, let me see. Let me reactivate the YouTube on the desktop. And see if there's anybody looking at the Uncle Henry Show that'll tell me whether or not I should talk during these commercial breaks. I'm going to be back on the radio in about 2 minutes. Yeah, see, a small number of people are watching. Ben Griffin. The Love Freak 69. Larry Morting. Thank you all for looking in. I do appreciate that. And let's see, what can I tell you while I'm waiting to go back on the radio? So we had Snake Trapper in the last segment of the show. There's a snake story out of Florida. A conservation team has set a new record by hauling in 4 tons of invasive snakes out of the Everglades. The Conservancy of Southwest Florida removed about 8,000 pounds of Burmese pythons. This was roughly 180 snakes. They did this between November and April, the largest amount of python by weight ever pulled in a single season since they started doing this back in 2013. They tracked the snakes across a 200 square mile area. The biggest snake they found was 153 pounds, 17 feet long. The average female pythons they caught were 95 pounds and carried about 70 eggs each.
Help shape what's next by voting for the brands, rewards, and experiences you want to see join the Perks Pass community. PerksPass.com. Join the community and enter to win today.
This is News Radio 710 WNTM.
The Uncle Henry Show. You can also hear me on FM radio. I'm on 95 KSJ, playing today's hottest country, Monday through Friday between 10 and 2. Tomorrow, I'm giving away more tickets to see Parker McCollum. Parker McCollum's going to be at the Wharf in Orange Beach July 19th, and I will have your chance to win tickets. Be listening to 95 KSJ right after 11. It'll be about 11:15 tomorrow that I'll have your chance to win them Parker McCollum tickets. Telephone number here, 251-479-2723. That's 251-479-2723. I want to thank Navco Bill, who called in the last segment of the show, told me about the streaming issue on the iHeartRadio app for News Radio 710. Navco Bill, I've already emailed the engineers in the news break. I've emailed our engineers to find out who else I'm really supposed to contact. And I've also checked, you can stream the Uncle Henry Show podcast. So the podcast is still available in streaming. But the live stream of the station, something is going on with that. So we'll get to work on that and pray that something gets fixed eventually. Again, 251-479-2723, the telephone number. That's 251-479-2723. Email address unclehenry@iheartmedia.com. Now, let's see. Got a phone call from the mad trucker, or the retired mad trucker. I don't know. I guess he's still mad, but not trucking.
Uncle Henry, LD. Well, I just walked out of the big box store with the big W on it. And, I thought I'd have me something to eat. I think I'm going to splurge today, Uncle Henry. So went over there and got me a package of that Buttig ham, 92 cents. It used to be 88. And then I got a loaf of bread for $1.78. And so I'm sitting in my truck, and I'm eating my sandwich, and I see the same lady that was using a food stamp card in front of me finally make her way outside into a brand new car. Brand new. Brand spanking new. And I had to ask myself, Uncle Henry, how could that be? How could this poor woman with a shopping cart directly in front of me with Twinkies, with steaks, with everything, pull out that food stamp card? You see, Uncle Henry, the people, you can tell the people who are on welfare in the big box stores. How can you tell? Their shopping carts are full to the brim.
All right, LD. That was one of LD's more calm EBT calls. Usually they're even more explosive. LD, thank you for the report. And I don't. That is something I don't quite understand about the car industry, because I do. I have noticed that there are some folks that seem to be struggling and need the help of government benefits, and at the same time that they're struggling and need the help of government benefits, they're driving outstanding vehicles. And I've not quite understood it. I'd like to know more. But again, thank you for the voicemail. 251-479-2723, the telephone number. That's 251-479-2723. Let's see. I've got another voicemail I want to get to before the freshness date expires on it. This has to do with the building of the new Fantasy Bridge. The Dream Bridge, the bridge that never seems to get built despite people wanting it for 30 years. Buford had some thoughts on this.
Hannah, this here's different. Hannah, if you're on the podcast and you were addressing that the politicians from 20, 30 years ago failed to plan for the Bayway, exactly right, Henry. And the reason the bridge ain't getting built is because all the corruption, you got all them criminals fighting each other who's going to get the biggest kickback and payoff.
Hey, pause in there just to say, Buford, if you're interested in more on this, Fox 10's Brendan Kirby did a report called The Bayway Blues this week. You need to go to their website and you need to search for it. It's hard to find. You have to just put in Bayway and it will pop up. But it's like an 8-minute or 9-minute report where he interviews people that commute on it. He goes through the history. He pulls up an old Press Register editorial from the 1990s about needing to build a bridge. It is a really good report, but you have to look for it. Fox 10, their website, I think their website is fox10tv.com. Just search for Bayway and watch the report. But back to the voicemail.
Fighting each other who's going to get the biggest kickback and payoff. But Henry, I'd like to predict the future for the next 20, 30 years. Henry, I do believe there's going to be excuse my language on this, I don't know how else to say it, a poop-apocalypse. A poop-apocalypse.
A poop apocalypse?
I'll say it, a poop-apocalypse. A poop-apocalypse around the waterfront. Henry, the majority of residential waterfront here in Mobile County is on septic tanks. And Henry, a good bit of them septic tanks are in failure. And Henry, thanks to the Mobile Health Department, the people that I know, every last one of them that has a failed septic tank, they have to basically install a miniature water treatment facility in their backyard. And Henry, they've all been quoted anywhere between $35,000 and $45,000 cash.
Whoa! Now that is an expense. That is quite the expense when you find out your septic tank ain't working, and then somebody says, "Hey, you're going to have to drop about $40,000 to deal with this."
And if there's any politicians listening, they need to really address this and do everything they can to get everybody, especially those that live on the water or by the water in Mobile County, on city sewage. I mean, there's got to be something done. The water level in the ground has risen over the years. 1 yard that used to perk don't perk no more. Hasn't in years. And, Henry, that's going to be the next disaster that the current Mobile politicians are ignoring. That's going to hit in about 15 to 30 years is a massive poop-apocalypse into the bay and the river system. You think that Vibrio's bad now? Man, it's only going to get worse. Anyway, Henry, just my 2 cents.
All right, Buford, thank you. This is something I'd not heard of before. A poop apocalypse or something like that? With these septic tanks and the cost of replacing these septic tanks there with people that are blessed enough to be there by the water. That is really, but you say this poop apocalypse is going to hit 15 to 30 years from now. So I don't know that the current politicians, just like the politicians of 30 years ago and 20 years ago, did not adequately do their jobs when it came to the volume of traffic that we were getting and we were forecasted to get. You think they're going to do their job with the poop? You think, Buford, there's going to be a lot of politicians that are not going to not feel much empathy at all for somebody blessed enough to be on the water. But thank you for telling me about that. I'm of an age where septic tanks are of interest. All right, there's more. I've got more show coming up after the break.
Just getting word of a crash on East 9 Mile Road at University Parkway. Also a crash with road blockage East 9 Mile Road at Baldridge Drive. Also a crash with injury and road blockage Highway 395 at Highway 98 at Santa Rosa Beach. Still slow on the Bayway. East on I-10 from I-65 to the Eastern Shore at an extra 20 minutes of drive time. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation.
All right, YouTube viewers, let me see if there's anybody looking on the YouTube. I'm reactivating the YouTube on my desktop. And I see a small number, just a small number there. Steve, make it stick. Good to see Steve. Oh, and the video is frozen. Okay, well, that means I gotta, I don't know if you can still hear me or not. Well, if you can, I'm gonna have to go reboot the computer.